Yo, this is Judah here, and today I'm making a reaction video. I decided to make a reaction video for my channel, Judah's Gaming. Sometimes I might say Judah's Gaming or Judah here. So let's get to the video. Hold up, my bad. So this is the video I've been searching up, clown horror stories, and I thought I wanted to make this video to share with you guys. So let's get to it.
Attracts a certain selection of creeps. We live in a decently busy neighborhood. However, we're on a dead-end block near a forest preserve, and across the street from us is a sump. And if you were to go through the forest preserve, you would find yourself in a small community park. There was this one Saturday night that a mini carnival was being held in the park, and since I wasn't doing anything with friends, my mom suggested that I go check out the carnival. She isn't the kind of mom who tells her kids not to go out past dark. She always let me do my own thing. So I did end up going. I crossed through the forest with a flashlight and eventually passed the fence that led to the park and saw lit-up carnival rides everywhere. A Ferris wheel, a mini roller coaster, some of those big spinning rides, and of course concession stands and carnival game booths. It was late enough where it wasn't very crowded. There was also a big circus tent with the red and white stripes where I saw...
My bad. But to go to a carnival at nighttime, something's bad is going to happen because there's a lot of creeps out there at night. I will never go out until the park is closing. But let's get back to the video.
Some people entering. I poked my head inside, where I saw 4 rows of people in the audience, and on this mini stage were 3 clowns performing tricks. One was on a tricycle, one was juggling, and the other was just dancing around. Then the dancing one noticed me poking my head inside the tent, and he skipped over closer to me and started waving his index finger, signaling for me to come closer, or to come onto the stage. I didn't really know. All I knew is I didn't want to do either, and so I walked away. I ran into a friend at one of the carnival games, and I hung out with him for about half an hour. Pretty soon the carnival was closing down, and everybody was starting to leave. I said goodbye to my friends and made my way towards the woods again. I was near the fence when I heard, "Psst." It came from behind me. It was one of the clowns. The clown that was waving me over earlier. He asked me if I wanted to check out the backstage area of the circus tent and some of the cool things the guests cannot see. I said no very quickly and walked into the forest, looking back every few seconds to make sure I wasn't being followed.
That's creepy right
there.
And
I wasn't. The clown just stood there watching me, with the painted-on smile on his face making the situation even more disturbing.
And he's smiling at you too?
When I was out of view, I began to run for a bit before I was confident he wouldn't be able to find me. I was not going to tell my mom what happened because I loved being allowed out whenever I wanted, and I feared that this might...
You see, if I was to be in that situation, which I wouldn't, I would always go with a friend because he can't get both of us at the same time. I'll run this way and I'll run the other way. So it'll be harder for him just to chase us or to follow us because it's 2 of us. Because if we go the same way, it's easy for him to get us. But if we went separate ways, then it's like I'm going to follow him or I'm going to follow him. But that's weird. Let's get back to the video.
I'd ruin that. It's a half-mile walk through the woods. I was probably 3/4 of the way there when I heard it again.
Some of the videos are glitchy.
This time, I immediately felt sick when I heard it.
For the glitchiness.
I turned and saw the same clown walking out from the darkness of the woods into the light of my flashlight.
You creep.
When he was close enough, I threw the flashlight at him and ran for it in the direction of my house. I heard him close behind me until the road was visible. Then I heard him turn around. When I got home, I was breathing like I had just run a marathon, and my mom was of course concerned.
She gotta be. Why would you let your son go out
so I lied
late
and
at
said
night
I
in the
jogged
woods?
the whole way
like,
back.
You want something bad to happen to him?
After that, it never came up again. Up until the age of 14, I always had a fear of clowns, ever since I was first greeted with one at the age of 5 at a county fair. On a cold Tuesday night in November during break, my parents were on vacation and my sister and brother were out for the night. My friend, who I'll refer to as B, wanted to come over so that we could walk to the fair a couple blocks away. So he did. We walked to the fair, which happened to be in a big empty parking lot. We walked around for a little while and played some of the carnival games. Then we ran into a clown. He didn't speak, he just smiled, bopped around, and made silly hand motions. He resembled more of a mime than a clown. And he seemed to inch his way closer to us every few seconds. Me and B laughed, B patted him on the shoulder, and we walked away. That was weird, I told B. That was more creepy than weird, said B. We were walking back to my house now on the sidewalks of the quiet Tuesday night neighborhood roads. And that's when we heard something from behind us. It was a pair of footsteps. We turned, but didn't see anyone. This continued for another few minutes. B said he was freaked out and was gonna go home, but I convinced him to stay with me and hang out at my place, honestly because I was scared now.
Smart.
We were sure we were being followed. We made it to the front of my house. I dug through my pocket, took out my keychain, and started looking for the right key out of the three in the dark.
Smart.
That's when B nudged me to turn around.
Oh,
There was a clown hiding in the next door neighbor's bushes.
Oh, no.
And he was staring at us.
Nope.
When he noticed that we had spotted him, he emerged from the bushes and started walking over to us.
Oh, no.
I began to panic, trying each of the three keys until the door finally opened. We entered and slammed the door behind us.
Better.
I called my parents right away, who told us to arm ourselves and hide upstairs. We went up to my little brother's room and looked out the window.
Oh, no.
There was the clown standing in our driveway, looking up at the window we were standing at, as if he were waiting for us. I shut the blinds and we both ducked down. Breathing heavily and panicking, within 10 minutes, he was gone. I guess he gave up. Or at least we think he was gone. For all we knew, he could have been hiding somewhere on the property all night. I'm just happy we made it home in time.
That's smart.
If you've seen the news lately, there have been many reports of clowns luring children into the forest. I was one of the first to experience this,
But why?
and it was
Why
utterly
we lure
terrifying.
kids to the woods?
I want to remain anonymous at the moment, just in case the clown finds out who I am. Anyways, here's what happened. I am 14 years old and live in a small town in South Carolina. The town has a population of around 130 people.
Dang, that's so small.
Summer was just about over, and I had a summer
small.
job working at the local lumber yard. It was a great place to work. I helped customers load lumber into their vehicles, a pretty mindless job. Plus, I was able to stay physically fit because of it. The best part is that my house is exactly 1 mile away. Walking to and from work is a daily occurrence. I spent a long day hauling and moving lumber, and my workday was pretty much complete. It was about 9:30 p.m. when I started to walk home. The moon was just starting to light up the road, and the sun had completely set below the hills. There are no other houses between the lumberyard and my house. Our town is very rural. The road home has hills that peak high enough that you're unable to see what's on the other side until you crest it. The road is skinny with no shoulder, but it was freshly paved. The trees stack one by one behind each other in a row, and vegetation is thick with a few game trails coming out to the road. Crickets and frogs sound like an orchestra. The walk home usually takes about 30 minutes. I've done it so many times that I entertain myself with music. I put in my earbuds, throw on some tunes, and away I went. I was about halfway home when I heard what sounded like a high-pitched cackling laugh.
That's weird. That's just weird.
What the hell was that?
For that just
I
to
said to
happen
myself out
while you're
loud.
walking on the road with woods around you, that's
I took
just
out my
weird.
earbuds and stopped. I thought maybe it was part of the music, but
No.
something about it didn't fit into the song. I stood there motionless, looking to hear the same sound again. However, the frogs croaking were so loud that not even a scream could be heard.
Because it's a wilderness.
I thought
You
nothing
live
of
near
it
woods.
and walked home.
You live in
The
the
next
suburbs.
day, I started my shift
A lot
at
of
2
trees,
p.m.
grass,
I started my walk to
hills.
work around 1:30. Nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a beautiful day. I usually look down at my feet and kick any rocks that I see. Having them skip across the fresh pavement was oddly satisfying. I kicked a rock and it skipped across the pavement and landed next to something strange laying in the dirt on the side of the road. It looked to be a bright red ball. I picked it up, I gave it a little pressure, and it squeaked. Immediately, I knew what it was. "This is a clown nose," I said to myself. What the hell is this doing out here? I kept it and carried it to work to show the other staff members. I even put it on and gave it some honks. It got a few laughs. The day went on as usual, and around 9:30 p.m. I clocked out and began my long walk home. I forgot my earbuds at home, so I was unable to listen to my usual music. While on my way home, I was able to make out a faint image of a figure about 150 yards away of what looks like a deer standing in the middle of the road. It was hard to make out as the fog hovered over the ground and the moonlight backlit the animal. As I got within 100 yards, it must have gotten spooked. I could see a rough outline scamper back into the forest. Little did I know this was not a deer, but something more sadistic. I passed the spot in which the deer had taken off back into the woods. As I walked by, I heard footsteps about 20 yards behind me.
Someone following
I
him.
thought this was strange, as I have never seen a deer come back onto the road once it was scared off. Before I could look back, I heard, "Hey there." I turned my head to see a clown standing in the middle of the road with his hands behind his back.
Oh no.
He wore baggy pants and a baggy shirt that was obviously meant to be a clown costume, but it was very dirty. So dirty that the colors faded into stains. His makeup ran down his face and his eyes were black. He tilted his head to the side and said, "You have something of mine. I need it back." He gave a small little laugh after he spoke. I don't have anything of yours," I said as I started to walk backward.
Nah, you lying to him. That nose you picked up was his and he wants it back. If you got it, just give it to him and keep walking, watching him, because you don't know him. If I see a clown just standing there motionless, something behind his back, that's weird. Just give him what he wants and leave. Otherwise you lying to him, that's what makes him mad. Just give him what he wants.
My house was still a quarter mile away. This is when the situation went from odd to terrifying. He said, "Well then, if you don't have my nose, I'm gonna need yours." He pulled something out from behind his back, and I'm not gonna lie, it looked like a machete. I turn around, and with all my might, I take off running down the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I could hear his bare feet running. I didn't look back as it could slow me down. The blades of what I assume were two machetes dragged on the asphalt. I was in great shape, but I could still hear his footsteps getting louder, signaling he was getting closer to me. He would even let out a little giggle that would feed my adrenaline even more. My lungs started to burn. I began to crest the hill. At this moment, I could hear him almost right behind me, just about touching me. And then out of nowhere, a truck crests the hill with its headlights shining on me. I waved my arms in sheer panic. He stopped. I quickly looked behind me to see nothing. No clown. I told the man in the truck what happened, and he called the police. I will never make that walk again.
I wouldn't.
I have no
I would
idea
get
how
someone
the
to
clown
drive
got
me
to that
there.
location and why he
'Cause that's
waited
more
for
safe
me.
anyway. You in a
I
car.
have never seen any vehicles parked there, nor are there any other houses besides mine for miles.
I wouldn't even live there.
This was my worst nightmare come true. Now I have found out that this is happening to more people. Clowns hiding in the woods and stalking people. Is this a cult? A group of scary clowns with a goal to terrify people? I have no idea, but I do know that I'll never be able to walk in the dark or see clowns the same way again.
No, don't wave at me. Don't wave at me like that. Don't do that. Don't wave at me. No. So,